Hello everybody and welcome back to What If Midoriya Was Part of the Nova Corps. If you enjoyed the series and want to see more of it, please let me know by either hitting that like button or telling me in the comments below. And if you have missed any of the previous episodes, there will be a link in the description below to a playlist. Now that is out of the way, let's get started. In the previous episode, Midoriya partook in the UA Sports Festival, managing to win by a landslide thanks to his overwhelming power. After those events, the students are given a couple of days to recover from the sports festival. Midoriya spends this time relaxing, not doing much of importance. He has become pretty arrogant after the events of 2 episodes ago. After this time passes, Midoriya goes back to school. On the train, someone recognizes him and asks, "Hey, you're Midoriya, right, from the sports festival?" Someone else says, "Oh yeah, it's the winner of the sports festival." Another person, "You did great, kid. Hope you keep improving." Everyone overhearing this starts complimenting Midoriya, and 2 people even ask for an autograph. Midoriya walks from the station to school afterwards. This time around, it's not raining. Note, if you haven't put the math together, this is because after the invasion there was a 2-week gap where society was recovering from the attack, meaning that what's happening now takes 2 weeks after it originally would. Ida power walks next to Midoriya, passing by him. He says, "Good morning, Midoriya." Midoriya increases his speed to match Ida's and says, "Good morning, Ida. Why are you going so quickly?" Ida says, "Why else? Because we're running late." Midoriya looks at the time on his phone and says, "We still have 5 minutes before the first bell." Ida says, "Exemplary student should always be at least 10 minutes early, don't you think?" They keep going to the classroom, and on the way, Midoriya asks, "Did you get recognized on the way here? Too?" Ida thinks for a moment and answers, "Now that you mention it, yes. I was recognized a bit on my way here for ending 4th in the sports festival. My brother also congratulated me at home. Both of them go to class where everyone is talking about being recognized because of the sports festival." Mina says, "Everyone wanted to talk to me on my way here." Zero adds, "Well, guess what they said to me?" To which someone answers, "Keep trying." Aizawa comes into the class and says, "I'm sure many of you are still excited about the sports festival and have let it go to your heads. But we have a big class on hero informatics today, so settle down." Everyone freaks out at this statement, but Aizawa continues speaking. "You need code names. Time to pick your hero identities." And the class gets super excited. Aizawa instills order and continues. "This is related to the pro hero draft picks that I mentioned the last time we were. Students don't have to worry about the draft yet, but this year is a bit different. In fact, by instilling offers to first years, pros are investing in your potential. These offers can be rescinded though." Aizawa pushes a button and says, "Here are the totals for those of you who got offers." The screen behind him shows Midoriya 5,322, Bakugo 2,956, Todoroki 2,671, Tokoyami 360, Ida 301, etc. Aizawa says, "In past years it's been more spread out, but this time there's a significant gap." Jiro says, "So the 2 finalists have the most votes as expected, but how come Todoroki has so many votes? He lost in the quarterfinals." Todoroki just scoffs and says, "It's probably because of my father." Aizawa says, "And now for the code names. They could stick. Since I'm not a good judge in this area, Midnight has final say on all the names." Midnight comes in the class and starts judging the names. For this scenario, Midoriya is the first one to go on stage and pick the name Nova. Midnight says, "Interesting choice, but I'll say go for it. Are you paying homage to the old hero Richard Rider?" And Deku says, "I guess so." Azuraka says, "Go Deku, that name's so cool." The other names end pretty much the same though, except in this version Ida chooses the name Ingenium Mark II. The class ends. As Aizawa leaves, he says, "Make sure to hand in your applications before the weekend ends." Kaminari says, "Wait, we only have 2 days to decide?" Aizawa says, "Yeah, so get done." Midoriya looks over his list of offers, mumbling about who he is going to go with. Tsuyu walks up to him and says, "You're really thinking hard about this." Uraka says, "It'll all work out. I've settled for my pick." Ashido asks, "Already?" Ojiro asks, "What agency?" Uraraka says, "The one the battle hero Gunhead runs." Midoriya says, "Gunhead is a big brawler though. Are you sure that's where you want to intern, Uraraka?" Uraraka says, "Yep. He sent me an offer." Midoriya says, "I thought you were trying to be a hero kind of like 13, one that focuses on only rescue." Uraraka says, "That's the plan, but after the sports festival I realized I need better fighting tactics if I'm going to be a good hero." Midoriya says, "I was thinking of going with a high-ranking hero so I can learn from the best, but there aren't that many that send me offers." Uraraka says, "If that's the case, then go with the highest on your list." Midoriya says, "That's what I was thinking, but I was kind of hoping that All Might would send me an offer and checking to see if there was any other agency worthwhile on my list." Ojiro interjects, "Isn't All Might busy with schoolwork? He spends most of his time training those third-year students." "I wouldn't count on it. Maybe what Uraraka suggested would be the best choice for you." Midoriya then settles on his pick and hands it in. In the teacher's room, Aizawa looks through the students' choices. He sees that Midoriya chose Hawks' agency, Todoroki chose Edshot's agency as he didn't resolve his problems with his father not using his fire. Ida chose his brother's agency, the Ingenium agency. He also sees that Tokoyama also went with Hawks' agency. And he notes, it seems like Midoriya and Tokoyama are going to the same agency. Wouldn't picture those two as a good duo. A couple of days later, the students get together at the train station. Aizawa asks, "Remember, you don't have permission to wear them out in public yet, and don't lose them or anything." Ashido says, "Gotcha!" Aizawa says, "Speak properly, Ashido. It's yes, sir." And Ashido, a bit depressed, says, "Yes, sir." Aizawa says, "Make sure you mind your manners with the other heroes during your internships. Now get to it." And the class says, "Yes, sir." Uraraka, Midoriya, and Ida part ways, wishing each other luck on their internships. After a while of traveling, Midoriya and Tokoyami arrive at Hawks' agency and walk in. They spend the first day settling in and the next two learning from Hawks' sidekicks, as Hawks himself is too fast to keep up with. The third day, Midoriya gets fed up with getting left behind, so he goes at full speed flying behind Hawks and catching up to him pretty quickly. Hawks says, "Oh, hello Nova, how's it going?" Midoriya says, "You know we're getting tired of getting left behind. You're the one who's tired of getting left behind. You're the one who sent offers after us." Hawk says, "Yeah, grooming the next generation isn't really my thing." Hawk spots a guy stealing a woman's purse and sends some feathers to take care of it. Midoriya asks them, "Why did you send us offers?" Hawk says, "To be honest, I wanted to ask about the League of Villains." Hawk interrogates Midoriya about them, finding out quite a bit of information. The next week goes on pretty normally, with Midoriya and Tokoyami learning the basics from the sidekicks, instead of learning from Hawk himself. During this time, Stain finishes his work in Tokyo. This is the city he went to after Hosu, and next is going to another city, getting intercepted by the League of Villains and given an offer to join on the way. During this time, the League has also been accumulating and stealing some of the waste material from the invasion and tinkering with it. The internships come to an end, and Midoriya and Tokoyami say goodbye to everyone at the agency. A couple of days later in the classroom, Kirishima and Zero laugh at Bakugo because of how his hair looks after that internship. Bakugo threatens them, telling them to stop. Zero just mocks him, making Bakugo angry. Ashido asks Jiro, "You fought actual villains? I'm so jealous." Jiro says, "Well, I didn't really fight. All I did was help people evacuate and provide logistical support." Ashido says, "But it still sounds like so much fun." Tsu says, "I spent basically the whole time training and cleaning the ship deck, though there was this one day we caught a bunch of drug smugglers." Mina and Jiro look at Tsuyu and say, "Okay, now that's cool." Tsuyu turns to Uraraka and asks, "What about you, Ochako? How was your week?" Uraraka, while doing some basic martial arts movements, says, I'd say it was pretty inspiring. Midoriya says, that's cool. All we got to do was hang out with sidekicks. We didn't even get to do much. Kaminari says, huh, what about you, Ida? Ida says, I spent the time training with my elder brother. I would say it was pretty enlightening experience. Ida says, listen up everyone, class is about to begin, so take your seats. Everyone sits down and ectoplasm comes into the class to teach some math. A couple of periods later, the students get together with All Might on ground Gamma. All Might says, I am here. Hope you are ready to return to our lessons. Today, it's basic hero training. Feels like I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. Now then, listen carefully to what's in store. We are going to be conducting a little race. Take everything you've learned from your internships and apply it to this rescue training. Ito raises his hand and asks, if it's rescue training, then shouldn't we be at the USJ instead? All Might says, that facility specializes in disasters. As I said earlier, this is a race. So prepare, you're about to step into Field Gamma. Inside is an area full of factories that form an intricate labyrinth. So good luck finding your way around. You'll be competing in groups of 5. Each person starts in a different location on the outskirts of the model city. I'll send a distress signal and you will do what you must to rescue me. Whoever finds me first wins. But try to keep the property damage to a bare minimum, please. Bakugo gets angry and shouts, why are you pointing at me for? Deku's much more destructive. All Might says, alright, first group, get to your places. The group gets into positions, and the people watching outside start betting on who will win. Yorozu says, I think Midoriya is going to win the race. He has overwhelming speed. Uraka says, what about Ida? Speed is his specialty. Jiro says, yeah, but Midoriya can get a bird's eye view, giving him the advantage. The race starts and Midoriya flies into the sky. Flying around for a moment, he finds All Might pretty quickly, in less than 30 seconds in fact. All Might congratulates him before passing on to the next group of students. After that exercise, time passes and the final week of June arrives. In the classroom, Aizawa says, alright, that's it for today's class. There's only 1 week left before your final exams begin. I'm sure you're all studying consistently, right? Don't forget to keep training. The written exam is only one element. You also have the practical portion to worry about. Good luck. He leaves the classroom. The moment he does, Ashido and Kaminari say, I've barely taken any notes this semester, in 2 completely different tones. As Ashido starts to laugh, Kaminari worried says, with the sports festival and I didn't have time to read a textbook. Tokoyami says, it's true that we haven't had much free time lately. Zato says, we barely learned anything when we took our midterm, so they didn't seem too hard. Midoriya says, I'm not that worried. I got a pretty good grade in the midterm, and I should have the practical pretty much aced. The study groups are formed. After that, they go to eat at the cafeteria. Midoriya says, I wonder what they'll have us do for the practical. Ida says, hard to believe they'd give us anything too crazy. Midoriya says, honestly, I'm not that worried. Whatever they throw at us, I can take it. I am curious, though. Hagakura says, it's a comprehensive test of everything we've learned this year. Tsuyu adds, and that's about all we could get Aizawa to tell us. Uraka says, okay, so then it'll cover combat training and rescue training. Oh, and vision goes on for a bit until Kendo passes by dragging an unconscious Monoma for saying something out of turn. She overhears Class 1A's conversation and says, sorry for eavesdropping, but if you're worried about what's going to be on the big final practical, I heard it's just going to be combat against robots, like in the entrance exam. A friend that's a few grades up told me. I know, cheating, but oh well. Midoriya says, maybe it's not cheating, but part of the test. Gathering data on the situation is always important. The next week passes rather quickly and the days of the final exams arrives. The 3 days of the written exams pass, and now all that's left is the practical portion. The students gather in the testing building where a group of teachers and other faculty members is waiting for them. Aizawa says, well then, Let's begin the last test. Remember, it is possible to fail this final. If you want to go to camp, then don't. If you want to go to camp, then don't make any stupid mistakes. Jiro asks, "Why are all the teachers here?" Aizawa says, "I expect many of you have gathered information and believe you have some idea of what you'll be faced with today." Kaminari screams, "We're fighting those big old metal robots." Mina says, "Fireworks, s'mores, here we come." Midoriya says, "Maybe don't get ahead of yourselves." Nezu comes out of Aizawa's scarf and says, "That's why this year's test will be completely different for various reasons." Yorozu asks, "You're changing things?" Nezu says, "The tests now have a new focus. There'll be hero work, of course, but also teamwork and combat between actual people. So what does this mean for you? You students will be working together in pairs, and your opponents will be one of our esteemed UA teachers. Isn't that fabulous?" Aizawa says, "Additionally, your partners and your opponents have already been chosen. They were determined by discretion based on various factors, including fighting style grades and interpersonal relationships." Nezu says, "In order to win, your objectives is to put these handcuffs on your teachers. Or you can win if one of you manages to escape from the combat stage." Kaminari says, "So we either have to capture the teacher or run away. It's basically like the combat training." Ashido asks, "But is it really okay to just jet?" Nezu says, "Yeah." President Mike says, "It's going to be much different than the combat training you all went through earlier. After all, you're up against people way better than you." Joe says, "Better? Really? Aren't you just the announcer?" President Mike says, "Hey, watch your mouth, girl." 13 says, "This time your exam will be very similar to a real battle. As strange as it is, please think of us as villains." Snipe says, "Assuming you come across your enemy, then fight. If not, then just run away. No shame in doing that." Aizawa says, "We'll be wearing these handicaps that add a third of our body weight. Your exam begins in 15 minutes and will last 15 minutes. You can spend your time strategizing or watching the other students fight. Good luck." For this version, I'm going to say that the opponents and teams are the same ones as in canon. I don't really want to come up with new scenarios for this one. There are only two teams that are different, since Mineta was kicked in the in the second part of the series. Bakugo will be teaming up with Zero against Midnight, and Midoriya will be facing All Might alone. The first match is Kirishima and Sato against Cementas, which, like in the anime, ends with both of them failing. The second match is Tsuyu and Tokoyami against Ectoplasm, which ends with them both passing. The third match is Koda and Jiro against President Mike, which ends with them overwhelming President Mike with insects before escaping, having both of them pass the exam. The fourth match is Hagakure and Shoji against Snipe, which ends with them using Hagakure's stealth to pass. The fifth match is Bakugo and Zero against Midnight. The exercise begins and both students set off. Zero says, "I think we should try going for the exit." Bakugo shouts, "Quit it, weird elbows. We're going to beat the teachers and prove we're the best of the best." Zero asks, "How are you planning on fighting her?" Bakugo says, "Look, run if you want, but I'm not going to run." Midnight then shows up and says, "Oh, what a brave little boy. I like it." Bakugo says, "Give me a piece of the tape." Zero asks, What for?" Bakugo says, "Just do it." Midnight rips her clothing to disable the two students with her quirk. Bakugo jumps in to attack, hitting Midnight with the biggest explosion he can. Midnight barely manages to evade with her clothing damaged, more of her quirk coming out, since the clothes are now more ripped. She looks at Bakugo, who without hesitation came in to attack again, and realizes he put some of Zero's tape on his mouth as to not breathe in the pheromones. Midnight evades Bakugo's second explosion, but Zero jumps in the way, throwing her against the wall. Bakugo uses the opportunity and blasts her unconscious. The hero team wins. Bakugo then takes off the piece of tape and screams, "Hey, I didn't need your help, soy sauce!" The 6th match is Kaminari and Ashido against Nezu, which they both fail. The 7th match is Yajirozu and Todoroki against Aizawa. This match goes a bit similar to the regular events, with Yaomomo recuperating, talks to Todoroki about his past, getting him to use his fire side in order to win the match, which makes Todoroki want to talk to his mother. Regardless, both students pass. The 8th match is Aoyama and Uraraka against their team, which they barely managed to pass. The 9th match is Ida and Ojiro against Paralleler, both of the students managed to pass. The last match is Midoriya against All Might. The exercise starts and Midoriya starts walking throughout the city looking for the exit. He then hears Detroit Smash! A gust of wind comes his way, destroying the model city. Midoriya blocks the attack, shooting a Nova Blast at the attack, blocking it midway, so he saves part of the city from being destroyed. Midoriya says, "I don't want to fight you, All Might." All Might says, "Tough luck, hero. I'm not backing down." Midoriya says, "Okay then, you asked for it." Midoriya shoots out a Nova Blast at All Might. He takes the hit, walking towards Midoriya and hitting him over the head, throwing him back. All Might says, "It's going to take more than that, hero. You may be powerful, but so am I." Midoriya says, "If you want it that way, then okay. The gloves are off, All Might." Midoriya powers up, shooting a massive blast at All Might. All Might goes as fast as he can, evading the attack, and thinks the blast was stronger than the others. If that had hit me, it would have taken me out of the fight for sure. Midoriya doesn't give All Might a moment to breathe and tackles All Might at full speed, punching him against the floor and the walls, eventually knocking All Might out from all the hits and restrains him. Midoriya passes the exam. Well, that's where I'm leaving it off for today. I do hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or in my Discord. Until next time, everyone, have an absolutely fantastic day. Bye!